You know what the weave is? I'll talk about like 9 different things and they all come back brilliantly together. And it's like, and friends of mine that are like English professors, they say, it's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. But the fake news, you know what they say? He rambled.
Donald Trump traveled to Pennsylvania to host a quite frankly low-energy campaign rally in which he repeatedly attacked Vice President Harris, insulted the CNN host who interviewed her recently, made a weirdly racist comment about a Republican politician, and insisted that he's such a brilliant speaker that he dazzles English professors. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, it seems like with each passing Trump rally, they get weirder and weirder and weirder, perhaps a sign of both Trump's cognitive decline and his increasingly fragile psyche, as he's losing the election currently, both in terms of national polls, head-to-head polls, fundraising, overall energy. Things are not at the moment looking great for Donald Trump. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at some of these clips from his Pennsylvania rally, and we're going to start with this one. Donald Trump, who is a gaffe machine, 78 years old, the oldest presidential candidate in history, a man whom the polls say a majority of Americans think is mentally unfit to be president. He insists that we all have it wrong, and he's actually a brilliant speaker, such that he dazzles his English professor friends.
But what happened, so with Afghanistan, you know, I do the weave. You know what the weave is? I'll talk about like 9 different things and they all come back brilliantly together. And it's like, and friends of mine that are like English professors, they say, it's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. But the fake news, you know what they say? He rambled. That's not rambling. When you have, what you do is you get off a subject to mention another little tidbit, then you get back onto the subject, and you go through this and you do it for 2 hours, and you don't even mispronounce one word.
He mispronounces multiple words, and actually one thing that he did very well was describe rambling while insisting that he doesn't ramble. It's not rambling. It's that you get off topic and then you talk about something else, then you get back on topic and you talk about something else. Sir, that's rambling. That's rambling. You accidentally defined the very thing that you said that you weren't doing, and you admitted that you did it. Very strange stuff from Donald Trump. But apparently the fake media, the fake news, we get it wrong. He's not mispronouncing words. He's doing it on purpose. He's actually giving you the secret correct pronunciation of words. He's not losing track of his thoughts. He's actually weaving together a complex narrative. He's the George R.R. Martin of conversations and campaign speeches. Pretty ridiculous stuff. And apparently, according to the polls, Americans are just not buying it. They don't think that he's smart enough to be president. They don't think he's as smart as Vice President Harris. It's pretty bad. He also took shots at CNN host Dana Bash, who interviewed Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. And the criticism that he gave was pretty stupid, considering the context of the interview. If you haven't watched it yet, you should, because with the exception of 2 questions at the end about Governor Walz's son and Vice President Kamala Harris's niece, they were all pretty tough, substantive questions, asking what she will do day 1 of her presidency, name specific policies, talking about her history in terms of policies. She basically, Dana Bash read from a GOP playbook. She's like, hey, listen, you've been accused of flip-flopping and changing your position, so let's talk about it. And she asked multiple questions pursuing that, putting Vice President Harris on the defense, right? It wasn't a softball question. She even basically dared the vice president to publicly challenge President Biden, her current boss, the current president of the United States, on Gaza, which in and of itself is a controversial issue. So it was not an easy softball interview by any stretch. And Dana Bash, by the way, is someone that Donald Trump has repeatedly praised in the aftermath of the CNN debate between him and President Biden. So with all that in mind, this is what Donald Trump has to say now.
And it's the first interview she's done, and like nobody's ever seen anything like it. And if you're too weak to do a one-on-one interview with a person that was so soft, you know, I know Dana, she's always, you know, always nasty. She was so nice to the Democrats. It's much easier to be a Democrat, but we don't agree with their policies because their policies will destroy our nation.
So Dana Bash, whom he repeatedly, I mean, within days, recently praised, is now nasty. And she's always been nasty because Trump thinks she gave Harris a softball interview, which she clearly did not. It's just that Harris was better prepared to answer substantive questions than Donald Trump ever was. Speaking of the vice president, Donald Trump was very quick to lie about the vice president's statements, her record, and also spin conspiracy theories that she's coming for your stoves and heaters.
She's trying to take away gas stoves and heaters.
So this is something that Republicans in the House and Senate have been trying to prop up really for more than a year. I mean, Marsha Blackburn, Republican senator from Tennessee, has been talking about it. Multiple House Republicans have been talking about it off and on, that somehow the Biden-Harris administration is about to send forth like masked mobs and squads of government agents to raid your homes and take your stoves and everything because, they've, the EPA and other federal agencies, which did this, by the way, even under Republican administrations, including President Bush, because they're revising, the safety and emission standards of methane and gas stoves. They're not mandating that anything be ripped out or taken away, but this is a latest culture war issue around which Republicans are circling to compensate for their lack of objective records. And so Donald Trump blew the dust off and said, there she's coming for your stoves and your heaters. Ridiculous stuff. Also, Trump misrepresents her views on fracking.
She's vowed repeatedly that we will ban fracking. We will always ban fracking. She just said it today. I saw it. They have a clip from like 2 years ago.
She said it today. The clip was from 2 years ago. Today, 2 years ago, they're basically the same. The vice president in 2019 had a much harsher, much more progressive stance on fracking. In 2024, her stance has changed over the course of 5 years. Under the Biden-Harris administration, in terms of oil production and natural gas fracking, the United States is more energy productive than it ever was under the Trump administration, while simultaneously the Biden-Harris administration has presided over by far the greatest, most robust investments in renewable and green energy. So progressives are actually not happy, and understandably so, at how friendly Vice President Harris is with fracking. Trump wants you to believe otherwise, that something she said in 2019 applies in 2024, even though her record and far more recent public statements indicate otherwise. Pretty dishonest of Trump. In this next clip, Donald Trump, who leads the Free Speech Party, proposes yet again something that's not only wildly anti-free speech, it is wildly unconstitutional.
You got some of the greatest congressman warriors here that you have anywhere. And congressmen, go to Congress soon, like immediately, but soon. We should give a 1-year sentence in jail to anybody that burns the American flag.
That is, again, not only anti-free speech and censorious, it is wildly unconstitutional. Whatever your thoughts are about people are availing themselves of the right to burn the flag, it is a constitutional right. It has been determined in the Supreme Court. And so again, when people tell you the Republicans are the party of free speech and anti-censorship, that is objectively untrue. Another clip from Donald Trump, and this one about the recent debacle at Arlington Cemetery by the Trump campaign, which is currently generating national headlines.
And carved, engraved with the names on them. I said, absolutely. I wasn't doing it I don't need publicity. I get a lot of publicity. I would like to get a lot less publicity. I would pay to get, I'm the only guy who would hire a public relations agent to get less publicity. Most hire to get publicity.
Donald Trump wants you to believe that he shies away from the spotlight. He doesn't. He doesn't want attention. He doesn't want the spotlight. Or use. If anything, I would love to not have the attention and the fame. That's nonsense, right? And of course, it was publicity. The stunt that he pulled at Arlington. They were not supposed to film and record for campaign purposes. That is precisely what the Trump campaign did. And apparently, in so doing, while a member of the Arlington Cemetery staff attempted to enforce those rules, was physically accosted by members of the Trump campaign. She declined to press charges because she says she's worried about retribution from Trump supporters. But the whole thing is so bad that the United States Army, the U.S. Army, officially released a statement defending the Arlington worker and saying that she did indeed try to enforce the rules and was physically accosted for her efforts. And that is rare to get that sort of statement from the United States military, the United States Army. And of course, Trump and Trump supporters are attacking them now with abandon. Then the last thing I want to say, play a clip of, is Donald Trump referencing Byron Donalds, a black Republican congressman from Florida. This is what he says about Byron Donalds, who is awful, by the way. This is what he says about Byron Donalds. And then, as bad as that is, what he says next is even weirder and vaguely racist.
Check it out. And he immediately, the first thing he did was approve the Nord Stream pipeline. And then they'd say, Mr. Congressman, oh, look who we have. Byron, stand up, please. Superstar of the future. He's already a superstar, but he's a superstar of the future. Byron Donalds, Florida. Wow, that's nice to have you here. That's good. He's great. He's great. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. That one is smart. You have smart ones and you have some that aren't quite so good.
Is he talking about Congress people or is he talking about black people? I know some people are going to be like, hey, come on, don't infer malice when you can infer ignorance. But again, Donald Trump doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know why we would be charitable in this particular interpretation. I don't know. I'm just saying, just speculating. But there you go. That's a snapshot of where Donald Trump is at this moment in time, both cognitively and physically. And it's not great. Again, a pretty low energy situation in which he repeatedly attacked the vice president, lied about her record, personally insulted her, attacked CNN hosts, and also suggesting some wildly unconstitutional things while simultaneously professing to be the leader of the party of free speech. You can't make this stuff up. But in the meantime, you let me know what you think in the comments.